Sheriff speaking. You're never gonna catch me. You scary you dumb. I'm gonna deny it. Be careful.
He's been called the East Side. He's been called the Visalia Ransacker, the original Night Stalker, and the Golden State Killer.
The Golden State Killer.
The suspected Golden State Killer, the notorious Golden State Killer.
Today, we dive into a story that haunted communities, baffled investigators, and remained etched in the records of true crime for decades. This is the tale of the Golden State Killer. Behind this name lies Joseph DeAngelo. From the shadows of his disturbing crimes to the glaring light of a courtroom, watch till the end as we unravel the chilling saga of the Golden State Killer. Joseph DeAngelo's story is a mix of the mundane and the sinister. A former police officer, he lived an ordinary life, yet beneath this facade was a fully developed predator. Born in New York, Joseph's life was marred by a disturbing incident in his early years. As a child in West Germany, he witnessed the abuse of his sister. DeAngelo's father, a sergeant in the U.S. Army, was reportedly abusive, which added another layer to his troubled upbringing. Excelling academically, DeAngelo obtained a degree in police science before joining the Navy.
I thought he was quite smart, did you?
Oh yeah, he knew everything about everything that needed to be known about law enforcement. If he'd committed a crime here in Exeter, he would come out and do the follow-up investigation, and there wouldn't be no evidence, because if he turned up any evidence, it probably most likely been him.
He could destroy it.
Yes, very easily. And no one could have picked it up because he was just that good at what he did. I mean, he was free for, what, 40 years, 45 years in the FBI, and the very best technology they got out there, they couldn't find a guy.
Transitioning into civilian life, he became a police officer, hiding his sinister actions behind the badge. During the 1970s and 1980s, a series of disturbing crimes began to unfold across California. The state was gripped by fear as a predator embarked on a terrifying spree, committing burglaries, sexual assaults, and brutal murders, casting a long shadow of terror over multiple communities. The man behind the crimes was none other than DeAngelo, known at the time by various names: the Visalia Ransacker, original Night Stalker, and others.
Joseph DeAngelo used to work here, a police officer by day, and by night, the East Area. The first 44 rapes and 2 murders were committed while he was a cop here, until he was caught shoplifting a can of dog repellent and a hammer. The police chief sacked him on the spot. And a few weeks later, a prowler turned up at the chief's home outside his daughter's window. He was convinced it was a vengeful DeAngelo, but staggeringly, the police chief never followed it up. It was the one big clue that could have put a stop to all the killing.
He became infamous for his signature method of breaking into homes at night, confronting and overpowering his victims. The sheer audacity and cruelty of these acts sent shockwaves through California. Each crime seemed to encourage him further, as he evaded capture and left a trail of psychological and physical devastation. As DeAngelo's reign of terror evolved, his notoriety escalated, earning him the moniker of the Golden State Killer. His crimes, once confined to burglaries and sexual assaults, morphed into a series of cold-blooded murders.
He would blindfold the victims, and after tying them, he would take a towel and tear it up and use that for a blindfold.
The victims, however, changed from single women to couples. With a flashlight and handgun, he'd awaken the sleeping occupants and instill immediate fear. The victims were bound tightly with ligatures, often shoelaces, which he either found on the premises or brought with him. DeAngelo would linger in the homes for hours, rummaging through belongings and consuming food and drink. For decades, the cases remained cold, with Joseph living his life beyond the grip of justice. However, advancements in forensic science, particularly in genetic genealogy, re-energized the investigations. This technique allowed authorities to compare DNA from crime scenes with genealogical databases, eventually leading them to DeAngelo. In April of 2018, the persistence of law enforcement paid off when they identified Joseph DeAngelo as the prime suspect, linking him to the decades-old crimes through conclusive DNA evidence. The man who had evaded capture for so long was finally arrested, bringing a moment of profound vindication for all involved. As the trial of Joseph DeAngelo unfolded, the world watched as the details of his reign of terror were laid bare.
As the evening began on December 18, 1976, I was a normal 15-year-old kid. He raped me repeatedly. At 3 different times that night, I thought I was going to die. The next morning, December 19th, I woke up knowing I would never be a child again.
DeAngelo pled guilty to numerous charges, including murders and kidnappings in a bid to avoid the death penalty. DeAngelo's story reminds us that evil is often masked by a facade of normalcy. However, this tale is also a lesson for the present and the future. Like the video. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more true crime tales that send shockwaves through societies. Thank you for watching.